Hello Nerdfighteria, it is Friday? It is indeed Friday. I didn't just double check, I promise. My name is Niall. I used to be a person around these parts. These parts as in the internet, not as in like in my room. I live here. So back when this channel started, I was far more active on the internet than I am currently. So these days you can't really find me anywhere else but on Vlogalog, which is another collab channel that I'm doing that I might link somewhere if I have the brain power to remember. But for personal stuff, I don't really do a whole lot because my life is weird. So for those of you who do know me and remember the last time that we spoke, this is me talking about life-changing things and/or where have I been and/or experiences that define me. It's a whole story. Let's sit down for story time. Transition for story time. So I was working at the University of Sheffield, doing technical work and a little bit of teaching for the journalism and marketing department of the University of Sheffield, which was very cool and very fun. But I mean this really nicely because I come from an academic discipline, but people who aren't academics, universities don't care about, which is not like. A university is basically just a bunch of big-headed buttholes surfing on the back of an army of technicians and support staff, and quite frankly, I was fed up of being an underpaid, like highly skilled member of that support staff. I suppose that's kind of half the story because I actually quit to go work in the video games industry, which like. I don't know if you've ever worked in the video games industry, people, but it's weird when you tell people that because either they're not young enough, but they're into video games enough to be like, that is the coolest thing ever, what do you do, what have you worked on, oh my god, that's amazing. Or people just go, Namely, I do QA, marketing, content-y stuff, so I do like technical and playtesting for games. I'm slowly but surely learning the ins and outs of what's called mechanics balancing, which is a really interesting subfield of game design if you're ever interested in reading about it. I find it horrendously interesting. I don't really have time to gush about it, but that's what I'm learning at the moment, as well as teaching myself to code, which I don't know if anybody's ever told you, but it's like impossible. Because like if you've got like a task, it's all right. So like if you just want to learn to code a website, then just learn to code a website. I'm like learning 4 different coding programs at the same time to teach myself 4 different game engines. So that's interesting. And I also do I got to keep making videos, not like this obviously, but I get to make like audio and art assets and stuff like that. I believe it was in a Nerdfighter video, or it might have been somewhere else, where I said like I just do things until I get bored of the thing and or realize I'm no good at the thing, and then I go do another thing. And I'm kind of in the early good stages of doing that at the moment, which is why my experience that I want to talk about is going to E3, although I've waffled so much this video might be too long to include that now. So I went to E3, which for those of you who do not know is like a big electronic entertainment expo that has slowly and surely just become the gaming event of the year. And it was one of the worst experiences of my life. I really don't like that as an industry, video games just refuse to grow up. There's just like immaturity and breasts and pointless violence everywhere, which I mean, keep the breasts and the immaturity and the pointless violence, because it's obviously, 1, it's where it comes from, and 2, like, immaturity, breasts, and pointless violence can be fun sometimes, but just like you go to expos and there's still just like ladies with their melons hanging out and just like, that's how we're gonna sell our new video game, or utter rubbish like that. And then there's this whole business side of video games. So the problem with video games is they're not really technical, but they're also not really an art. They're kind of somewhere in between. Lots of people will tell you that they're just art, and that's all they should ever be. But then, of course, there are people, who build the game engines who would tell those people that they're being silly because it's a very technical skill. But those people have nothing to do with any of these entertainment events. Like, most of the people that you'll meet are publishers. They're basically white, older dudes in suits. Like you get in every industry. who make terrible decisions based on their own biases and weirdness, and won't do anything without seeing a bunch of figures first, and just, oh, the kids are liking them Call of Duties, let's make 30 first-person shooter modern grey shooters. And everyone's like, those people don't exist. I can guarantee, having met several of them over those 3-day stint, they definitely do exist. I wanted to go to E3 and be like, oh, this is like the culmination of like all the cool people here. Everybody who's doing everything from like AAA, AA, indie, everybody's here, because it's a trade event. There's a very few slots open to the public. But actually, what I saw was a bunch of fat cats and professional BS artists, which isn't good, It's like, you spend ages defending this thing that you love, and then they want their public perception to be the horrible negative things that everybody thinks about them. I've made a terrible mistake. The camera turned off at some point during that, but so if it had abruptly cut out, that was my bad. I probably should have rambled less and, written something down. Jürgen? We will see you on Monday. That was a guess. I can't remember.